All right, so today we're going to be doing a quiz review. So let's recall some things about integers on a number line. Remember, 0 is your middleman, right? And everything to the right of 0 is positive. This is positive world over here to the right of 0. And as you go further right in positive world, the further you get into positive world, the bigger your value gets. Okay? And then to the left over here, this is going to be negative world. And the further you get into the negatives, the smaller your value gets. Okay? So remember that. The deeper you get into the negatives, the smaller the value. Okay, also remember this. It's kind of like football. Whenever you lose yards, the more yards you lose, the smaller the value is, okay? So let's go ahead and let's put these integers in order from least to greatest. Okay, so if we're starting with the least, we're going to start with the negatives, okay? So here, our least would be our greatest negative. So we would start negative 12 would be the least because that would be losing the most. Then next would be our negative 9. Next would be negative 5. Now we're in positive world. So all we have is 3 and 8. So we can think this is what we have, not what we owe. So then 3 would be next. And 8 would be the greatest. Okay, so just remember, don't let those negatives confuse you. All right, now let's look at this number here. We're going to compare these integers or order these integers. Remember, if we're starting with the least, we're going to start with our negative numbers. The deeper you are into the negatives or the more you owe, the less you have. So what shows being owed the most is a negative 9. Next would be a negative 6. Then negative 4 would be my greatest negative number. And then 0, because remember 0 is neither positive nor negative. It's neutral. But 0 is still greater than every negative, but less than every positive. So then 11 here would be my greatest number. Okay? And be sure to use your number line if you need to. All right, now we're going to look at comparing just the integers. And remember, we're going to use the alligators. So remember, the alligator eats the bigger number. So here we're going to compare negative and positive. So here, positive numbers are greater than negative numbers. Okay, so therefore, our alligator should be eating that 25. Okay, remember here, the greater the negative, the smaller the value. So here, negative 46 would be our bigger number. So negative 46, the alligator should be eating. Because here you only owe 46, here you only owe 79. So here we're going to remember, think of what you owe. Or what you lost, okay? All right, on your quiz also, we're going to be talking about some coordinate graphing. And here it's going to ask us, it says, what are the coordinates of point D? So remember, we're going to always, we're going to look at our X number line first. Remember, we're going to have our X, which is our side-to-side number line. And then we're going to have our Y. which is going to be our up and down number line, okay? So I'm going to highlight the number lines here. I'm going to highlight X green and Y yellow, okay? So we're going to look here. We want our X value for D. So we got to see, okay, where does it line up? Where does D line up on my X number line? So what the number I highlighted green. And then we'll find the number we highlighted yellow, okay? So let's go to our X number line first. And I can see that D matches up with -3 on the X number line. So my X coordinate here would be -3. Then I'm going to see, where does D line up on my Y number line? Well, D also lines up on a -3. Okay? All right. Also on your quiz, you're going to be asked to compare and order rational numbers, or we're going to put numbers on a number line, decimals on a number line. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's look here. Remember, we talked about making everything look like money. And here we can clearly see we have $0 and $1. And in the middle, exactly half a dollar would be 50 cents. So remember, we talked about we could skip count by 10. So this would be 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents. 50 cents is already labeled, right? 60, 70, 80, and 90 cents. So if we were to put 78 cents on this graph, we know that it would be between 70 and 80 and a little bit closer to the 80. So here we could graph 78 cents. Okay. We also had number lines that didn't always necessarily start or always go between 0 and 1. We had 0, 1, and 2. So here we have to remember we need to think, what's between 0 and 1? Exactly 50 cents. What's between 1 and 2? $1.50. So if I were to place $1.88 on this number line, I know $1.88 is greater than $1.50 but less than $2. So I would place $1.88 about here on my graph. And then the last one we have here is comparing a fraction and a decimal by using the less than, greater than, or equal to sign. So remember, I don't really know the value of this fraction until I divide it. I'm not going to just look at the numbers and guess. I'm going to actually take 4 and divide. 4/5 and divide. So here I know 4 goes inside and 5 goes outside. And 5 does not go into 4, so Nacho needs to kick off his boots, hang his hat, and give him a tortilla. So now 5 goes into 40 8 times, which is 40. And I've zeroed out. Now I can say 0.8, but again, you always want stuff to look like money. So I'm going to put a 0 behind it. And now I can compare to money value. I'm going to compare 80 cents to 75 cents, and I see that 80 cents is bigger.